Huge swing. We talked about this guy waiting for his pitch, not missing mistakes, and a huge mistake from the.
Oh, I'm so glad my phone got a delay.
You caught it.
Yeah.
How we doing, guys? It's the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast. Here with my good friend Idris. I'm your host, Richie. And Aaron Judge just went yard and gave the Yankees a 4-2 lead.
Yes, sir.
Number 54 on the season. He is closing in on Roger Maris. He needs
7 more.
7 more for the record.
7 more.
No, excuse me, 7 more for the tie.
Yeah,
8 more for the record. Whew. So, give you a quick rundown of this game. Typical Yankees. Prior to this inning, they hit into 2 consecutive double plays. Home run from Marwin Gonzalez breaking a very terrible slump. Pitching's been good. Tyone ran into a little trouble in the 5th, but, Aaron Judge, per usual, picking up the team immediately. Every time there is a problem, I'm starting to wonder if he could even pitch for us.
Hey.
But the pitching's been good. I won't get on the pitching. I'm actually kind of thankful the way this all played out because Archer, we were able to work that pitch count up really quickly. Must win for the Yankees.
Yeah.
They're looking at potentially starting a winning streak, which is a very rare breath said around Yankee country lately. But we're going to get on those guys in a little while.
Oh, yeah, definitely. But
live update, Yankees are up 4-2, and we're going to keep you abreast of what's going on there. We'll talk about the other New York team and their dwindling first place lead. I'm talking about the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves, the defending world champion.
Yes, sir.
Atlanta Braves are starting to come for them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Idris, roughly a month ago, you yourself said that you felt the Braves could win this division and were going to catch the Mets.
Yeah. You
slightly retracted, and you were like, okay, Met fans, I apologize. Maybe I was wrong, but once again, the Braves are right there.
Yeah. With Showalter being the manager, I knew that'd be tough. There she is. How you doing, Mama? The Mets are the Mets, and I always felt they couldn't sustain what they had going on. And I did say about a month ago, okay, Mets fans, y'all look like you're the thing. But deep down, I felt the Braves would catch them. I just said, it's hard to keep that momentum. I mean, the Dodgers are doing it, but the Dodgers are starting to crack a little bit. We had it up until the All-Star break. Even Houston, they're up there, but, they're having a, here and there, a little rocky way. But with the Mets, you got pressure, man. The Braves are no joke, and they're coming. And I still feel they'll win the division. I think the Mets will probably make the wild card, but I still think the Braves are going to show that championship pedigree they have, and that's who they are. I mean, this is going back to the 90s with Smoltz and Maddox in them. I mean, they've always had that drive. Even in the bad years, they still gave it, gave their all. So I still see them winning the division. But I think the Mets will make the playoffs. And I think they'll do damage in the playoffs because they got Buck Showalter as the manager.
Good friend of the show and Mets super fan, my boy Richie Dorney out in Long Island. He went to the game yesterday, which is a shocker to get beat up by the Nats and actually lose a series to the Nats. Just giving you a heads up, Giancarlo Stanton seemed to have fouled something off his foot. He's in some pain.
And we don't need that.
No, we don't. I'll keep you updated on that. But he was at the game yesterday, and he told me, he said, the Braves are definitely here, and he told me that he potentially thinks that the Braves might have a better roster than the Mets. He feels that the Mets have the best 1-2 punch in terms of Scherzer and DeGrom, which I completely agree with him. Mm-hmm. I think you can make a case that that's the best 1-2 in all of baseball.
Yeah.
But the way he best described it was the Braves have a lot of B and B-plus players, whereas while the Mets have some stars like a Lindor and a Pete Alonso and a Starling Marte, they're middle-of-the-road players if we're going to be honest, roster for roster, I tend to agree with Rich that they're a little bit below.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for the Mets, it's a simple formula. You need to have that bridge to Diaz. Adam Ottavino has served as that lately. He's doing a good job for the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
But this is going to be interesting because, the Mets got a road trip coming up soon. And, schedule for schedule, I still think that the Mets actually have an easier road down the stretch than the Braves. That 3-game set in Atlanta is going to be huge.
Yeah.
And it's coming up soon. So Mets got postponed today.
Mm-hmm.
They were out in Pittsburgh. They got postponed. But I do think that this could literally come down to the final weekend of the season.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. I see the Mets really just going up there and wiping the floor with them.
Getting right.
But, yeah. But who knows? Who knows what they'll do? I mean, Pittsburgh might say, "Look here, hey, let's show them something."
Pittsburgh caught our boys sleeping one day, and then the Yankees beat them the next day like they stole something. Like they were angry.
That's what I'm saying.
That was like an angry beatdown.
Yeah. So, and the pressure's on the Mets, man. They're going up to Pittsburgh saying we got to wipe the floor with these guys because the choppers are coming. I call them the choppers.
Yeah.
They're coming. And
that's Quinton's squad actually.
With the Braves?
Yeah, Quinton has kind of adopted the Braves.
I didn't know that. I know he's a Georgia Bulldog fan.
Yeah, he's kind of adopted the Braves. Obviously, he still sticks with the Giants in the NFL.
Okay.
But yeah, he's told me that he's kind of a Braves fan.
The choppers are coming. They're coming. So we'll see. We'll see what happens when they resume the series. Just say when to start the series. We'll see.
It's going to be interesting, man. I honestly, out of all the different races, I think that might be the most intriguing.
Yeah. I think in the AL, I think Houston will probably win, the AL regular season. Unless we just go on another run and Houston just goes on a slide.
Mm-hmm.
The Dodgers will win the West. I mean, win the NL.
Yeah, they should more than likely, but it's just strange because we beat the Mets 2 games and start off a road trip on the West Coast that was supposed to be soft until we ended up coming back to the Southeast to play Tampa.
Right.
We only took 2 out of 4 against a horrific A's team.
Yeah.
And then we lose 2 out of 3 to an Angels team.
To the Angels, yeah.
We lose 2 out of 3 to the Rays, although we've only given up 3 runs over those last 2 games.
With the Angels, we should have won that series.
Oh yeah, and I think you can make an argument that we should have won the Tampa series as well.
Yeah, we were just bad in the field, man. Second base, I mean, we were just bad in the field. We should have won. We should have won those 2 series. We just bonehead decisions. I call them knob-block choices.
Mm-hmm.
I was so pissed at yeah.
It's frustrating because I'm actually going to hold my thought because I'm going to hit on a final thought with the Yanks.
Okay.
We got a little ways to go.
I hope the way these division races are going, I hope they end up like the NFL playoffs did this year. Because those playoffs were, oh my God, that was probably the best playoffs ever. Every game was competitive. It went down to the final drive, except for the Cowboy game. But
that came down to the final slide.
Right.
If it was baseball, that could have been interesting.
They won that one.
Shout out Michael Zappi. Who the hell called that play, Zappi? Who the hell called that play, Zappi?
Don't blame it on Jason Garrett because he was not in the stadium.
The clapper wasn't responsible. He was already relieved of his duties for, ruining our team.
Yeah, we took care of that,
Yeah, that was a final assignment for Jerry Jones.
Yeah, so I think we're gonna have a good playoffs, man. I think we will.
Yeah, and there's gonna be a lot more breaking down. I mean, you got the Seattle Mariners, who I would think nobody would be too excited about playing in a 5-game series. You're talking about facing Luis Castillo potentially twice.
Right.
And that is scary.
Right.
And that could be the Yankees' reality, because although the Yankees' lead has dwindled, I still believe that they are going to do just enough to hold on to this division, but it won't be pretty, and it hasn't been.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm gonna try to reserve my words on them because I'm pissed off with them. I'm pissed off
Look
with
at those
them.
Cardinals, man. I said they would run away after the All-Star break.
Another double play. That is 3 consecutive innings with a double play, ending the inning. Thank God for Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
We're going to veer it over to college for a moment. This is cool.
Yeah.
E.J. Smith, son of the great Emmitt Smith, NFL's all-time leading rusher. First play from scrimmage of the new year for him. Plays out at Stanford. To the house.
Right. That was dope.
That was dope. And my initial reaction was, wait a minute, that's Emmitt's kid. I thought maybe it was Barry's kid.
That's Emmitt's.
No knock on Emmitt. Emmitt was a phenomenal player. The dude's a warrior. I kind of get mad that on a recency bias level or just on a hatred level, Emmitt gets a lot of shit because everybody always wants to talk about how great his O-line was.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But I do distinctly remember Emmitt sitting out 2 games because he wanted his contract.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cowboys started the year 0-2.
He was the difference.
So that great O-line wasn't opening up, the sea like Moses with, I'm sorry. Emmitt is one of the most underappreciated backs. And I think part of it is because he hung on for a while and people sometimes remember how it ended in a Cardinals uniform.
But you know what? He had a pretty decent season with the Cardinals, though. I mean,
one of them was good, and one of them he looked his age.
Yeah. And that year he came back after the 0-2 start. He was the difference.
Absolutely.
They did not look good without Emmitt. As soon as he came back,
yes. And I always tell people this when they do these greatest running back debates. You're going to get the usual suspects, no pun intended. Yeah. O.J. Simpson, Eric Dickerson. You're gonna get your Adrian Petersons in that conversation, Barry Sanders, Jim Brown, Walter Paytons. Those are your typical guys that you're going to hear about often. And the thing is, I always say this: what is the difference between Emmitt and Barry? Well, they're way different. If you want a yard and you need that gutsy yard, Barry is not your guy. As great as Barry was, sometimes I do think that they overstate how bad his O-line was. I don't think his O-line was terrible. They just weren't the 92 Cowboys or the 93 Cowboys.
They were average.
They were average, but they certainly weren't as horrific as they get painted.
No, they had some good players on that line.
Yeah, and I mean, they lost one of their anchors with an unfortunate injury to Mike Utley. I do recall that.
Yeah. Utley, yep.
They devoted that 92 season to him where they were only a game away from the Super Bowl. They have yet to be that close again.
I think their difference was the quarterback. They had Scott Mitchell.
Scott Mitchell.
Yeah.
Herman Moore was their receiver. We're all over the place right now, kind of reminiscing on football lane, but
it goes back to saying how good Emmitt really was. Emmitt came to a team that was 0-2 and looking like trash. And when he came back, they looked like they were unbeatable. They were
the best team in the world again when he returned.
Right. He was a workhorse.
It's just crazy to me how he seems to be the most hated on. I mean, we'll hate on Michael Irvin, but that's just because of his ridiculous picks all the time. He's a Dallas homer through and through.
Oh yeah.
So we got plenty to joke on with him
easily.
But the thing with Emmitt that I always say too is like his vision downfield. You cannot put a price on how valuable that was during the course of his career. Yes, he had a great O-line. But in the open field, Emmitt made a lot of people miss. Emmitt also ran over a lot of people.
Right.
And when Emmitt really gained my respect was when he played with that busted shoulder against our New York Giants, Week 17, 93 season. Both teams playing for the 1 seed.
And he went off.
That was kind of in my opinion, kind of like a changing of the guard, passing of the torch kind of moment.
He went off.
Indeed.
He went off. I was so mad.
That play with him and LT at the 50 was iconic.
Yeah.
You know, when you're watching it as, what was I, 12 maybe? When you're watching it, you don't necessarily identify it as being iconic.
I don't want to say
my time goes by, and as time goes by, you realize, wow, this was something special here.
He was a workhorse, man. Because think of what they had after he left. It was a long stretch before they had someone, you had the Barbarian,
Yeah.
He was good. He was more of a punisher.
Yeah, Marion Barber, definitely punishing running back. Rest in peace, Marion Barber. And after him, they had DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
Always a pretty good O-line.
Yeah. I think with Emmitt, I trash Emmitt because, it's Cowboys.
Of course.
But there's no doubt about what type of player he was. Yes, I put him in the top 5. You can debate where you want to put him. With me, he's number 3 all time.
You're slightly more generous than me. I would probably put him at 5. But the truth is, he's got to be in the top 5, no matter how you cut it.
Yeah, you got to put him in 5. I don't want to deviate from it, but people overlook O.J. Simpson. But they got to remember, this guy ran for 2,000 yards in a 14-game season.
Yeah, that is remarkable.
And the only real offensive lineman he had was Joe DeLamalure.
Mm-hmm.
His quarterback, Ferguson, was an average quarterback. This guy ran for 203 yards.
And you could game plan, essentially, knowing that the quarterback wasn't all of that.
Yeah. You knew he was
OJ. And this man didn't play in the greatest climates, in the greatest weather. You're talking upstate New York.
Right. So.
No, you got to give him his praise on the field because I think, unfortunately, with OJ, because of what happened post-career, in pop culture, especially for a newer generation of people are going to view him however they see fit.
Right.
And I always tell people, whether it's a professional athlete, whether it's an actor, whether it's whatever, why do we know who they are? You recognize them for what they did and what they are great at.
Right.
The other stuff is just that, the other stuff. Right. And those are two completely different conversations.
Yeah.
If we want to do a show about potential travesties of justice, then maybe that particular case can be up for debate. But at the end of the day, we trust the legal system. And at the end of the day, the defense was well prepared.
Right.
And they won. And they won because they presented evidence and outshined the combination of Chris Darden and Marsha Clark.
Yeah, but Emmitt, like I said, all trash talk aside, Emmitt definitely top 5, definitely the heart and soul of that. I mean, Michael Irvin, but they didn't win without Emmitt.
Right.
Michael Irvin and Harper were on the left and right side. Aikman was the quarterback, but they couldn't do it without him. They couldn't.
Indeed, and like these are always good debates when we talk about historical players.
Mm-hmm.
But it does get tiring, and the thing is, it's not like I'm in the business of defending the Cowboys.
Right.
But I'm also not in the business of rechanging history to suit a certain narrative. Emmitt Smith was fucking great.
Yeah.
And as a Giant fan, he has my utmost respect.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
We're going to move it along to the season opener, man. Just a few days away. Football is back. And this is a great matchup.
A great opener.
In my personal opinion, I believe this should have been the Super Bowl last year.
Should have been.
Or at least on the AFC side, I could make a defense case for the Packers should have beaten the Rams had they played them. I tend to believe the Bills would have beaten the Bengals if they played them. Neither one happened.
I don't think it would have been close. With Bills and the Bengals, I think the Bills would have ran them.
Yeah, I do too, because for half the game, Kansas City ran them.
Yeah.
But you got to give credit where it's due. The Bengals found ways to hang around long enough until they figured it out. So that's not easy to do. This game here, it's excitement galore because you got Von Miller returning to a team where he won his second Super Bowl. He was a rental last year. This year going to the highest bidder, which was the Buffalo Bills.
Mm-hmm.
But he's replaced by Bobby Wagner, another future Hall of Famer. So they don't really miss a beat at that position.
Mm-mm.
You got Jalen Ramsey on the back end. You got Aaron Donald, who is arguably the best player in all of football right now. And on the offense, OBJ is still a free agent. He's healing. No, not a member of this team currently. They lose.
Robert, what's his name?
Robert Woods, currently a member of the Titans.
Yeah.
We'll be seeing him week 1.
Mm-hmm.
But, you still got Jefferson, and now you got the addition of Allen Robinson alongside Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford coming off one of his better seasons. Josh Allen, perennial MVP candidate. This is supposed to be their year, as I already stated. Former Ram, now current Bill, Von Miller. You've got 3 excellent receivers. 3 excellent receivers in Isaiah McKenzie, Stephon Diggs, Gabe Davis. And, you got Cook's younger brother now who's over there and has his eyes on putting up a fight to eventually be the starting running back. We talked about how talented these teams are. Just talking. In your opinion, what are each team's weaknesses? I think that's the best place to start because we know how talented they are.
Golly, the weaknesses.
Yeah, I know. Kind of a hard question to answer, I guess.
Hard question to answer.
Right.
I don't know. We need to know what I can think about it.
Yeah, you got to think about it a bit.
Golly, man. I mean,
I'm going to say in the Rams case,
mm-hmm.
I do believe that OBJ not being on the roster right now,
mm-hmm.
that will affect them to a level. I think that he had a nice little chemistry with Stafford, and while Allen Robinson is an excellent receiver, like anything else, it takes time when new faces come over. I think this particular game, being that it's week 1 and you got the Rams that are going to be dropping the banner and you got a potential Super Bowl favorite looking at them, seeing that banner drop, I think it's the perfect storm for the Bills to pull a road upset. It's going to be a good game.
Yeah, I don't want to call it a weakness. I just say one side has a strength more than the other. Like receivers, I say Buffalo would have the better continuity because they've been together.
Yes.
Yes, I think they're strong at certain positions in the Rams, like when it comes to linebackers, God, Von Miller, and then you got I just forgot his name that quick. Oh shoot. From the boom, we just mentioned his name. Bobby Wagner. You say now who's the better of the two? That's a tough one. Wagner will knock the shit out of you.
You can make an argument because it's deeper than just their pursuit of ball carriers and quarterbacks. They do everything well.
Right.
They're like prototypical talented players. When I think of Buffalo, and if I had to kind of point out a weakness,
mm-hmm.
if anything, I would say that although they do have a committee running back situation for now, mm-hmm. I don't think that they have identified who is their main guy.
True that.
Singletary will probably be the starter coming in. Cook's going to be working his way into playing time. It seems like Zach Moss is kind of getting phased.
Mm-hmm.
But when Jamison Crowder is like your 4th best receiver,
right,
that's not a bad thing because that dude can ball. They've got a really good team. I look for weaknesses. That's probably the best I could give you is that I do believe that they got to be a little more balanced. And, I think sometimes people take for granted Josh Allen runs the ball a lot. He's a big dude.
Mm-hmm.
But, there is a toll that comes with that.
Right.
And, you want Josh Allen to not take certain beatings if you could help it. And I also believe that, the gunslinger mentality, while he is probably going to be the best fantasy player this year, I mean, I took him in multiple drafts.
Mm-hmm.
You do run the risk with gunslingers to sometimes throw the untimely picks. And that's why some people will say that they prefer a Joe Burrow versus, a Josh Allen. Everybody can make cases for each quarterback. Some might say that Rodgers is better than both of them because he never really throws picks.
Right.
There's a lot of ways to look at it. But this particular game, I think you're looking at a defensive struggle early on. I think the offenses are going to open up in the third quarter, where it might come into a game where you're having multiple scores in the last 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
In a close one, I'm going to go Buffalo 27, Rams 24.
I'm going to go just the opposite. I'm going to go the same score, but Rams. I think Buffalo, they lost some stuff. They lost their offensive coordinator.
That is true. Brian Dable coaches our team now.
Yeah, and a few players that came over with Dable to where the Rams, you got Stafford into the system for a whole year, and it's going to
double play Yankees. Good jobs. I'm listening.
No, you good. I need the updates. I don't have.
You got out of the inning.
I think it's that fourth phase, coaching. I think that it's going to come down to coaching, but I think it's going to be a real good game. You're playing in LA also.
Potential Super Bowl preview.
Yeah, it's going to be a real good game. I'm glad that's the game opening instead of someone like the Jets versus no disrespect to the Jets, but the Jets versus, I don't know.
Yeah, they've kind of themed it out. They've kind of themed it out the last few years where the defending champion gets the home game. I think the only year in recent memory that they won against that was the 100-year anniversary where they had Green Bay and Chicago open the year.
Yeah.
And I think that was more dictated because they were paying homage to like the 100th year, and that's the oldest rivalry.
Right.
But this is I don't think this is necessarily a game that's going to send messages or any of that because it is so early in the year.
Yeah.
But it's really an exciting way to start off the season. Because a lot of times you'll get a team dropping a banner and then they get a tomato to play for week one.
Right.
That's not the case here,
No.
And I think the NFL really did good on the way that they juiced up this week one schedule. And, we're going to be speaking on that more than likely getting closer to the very first Sunday of the year.
Yeah.
Going to reach out to Zappy and we're going to organize, that's going to be the norm here where we're going to be doing a lot of Sunday previews and a lot of Monday quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah.
But it's exciting, man. Football is back.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't wait, dude. I can't wait.
This is what we both been waiting on.
This has been a conversation amongst us for a while now. We do want to do a legit series of movie shows or maybe intertwining them as kind of like a knockout elimination kind of deal. We're over here both digging into the Yankee game, so I'm going to give, me and Idris kind of throw it back to each other. Sports movie review.
Ooh.
The historic home run chase going on this particular year, I had no other choice but to mention 61.
Got to mention 61.
And I feel that, it's also incredibly important to mention 42 because this is similar time in baseball history, both of these movies.
Mm-hmm.
Bull Durham, Kevin Costner. I mean, the easy one, you could always pull Field of Dreams, but I think we already know Field of Dreams speaks for itself. We don't even have to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Major League, kind of the comedic side of all of it.
It was a good movie, though.
You got a favorite out of these five? For love of the game, just want to quick mention Kevin Costner winding down his career.
Yeah.
Doing a lot of soul searching as his career is coming to a close on and off the field and pitches the game of his life in the Cathedral in the Bronx. You got a favorite out of these five?
Golly. 61 was a good ass movie, man. I like Major League because
well, the comedic value was excellent.
Yeah. Damn, man. Why couldn't you put Field of Dreams so I could have just said Field of Dreams?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. I think that Field of Dreams is unanimous with pretty much anybody.
Yeah, that would have made it easier.
I mean, they got a game after it every year now.
Yeah,
Put Shoeless Joe in the Hall of Fame, Major League Baseball.
Right.
Please.
I
enough is enough.
61, man. 61's my favorite. Yeah, 61's my favorite. Yeah. That's a hard list, dude.
Yeah,
That's a hard, dude.
I would probably I would probably agree with you about 61, and not just because we're Yankee fans, but because I think it really captures like the stress in a very real way of what Roger Maris went through.
Right, exactly.
And I think it's pretty awesome because you see the guy behind me right here, Mickey Mantle.
Nope, the Mick.
That was New York's choice. That was the Yankee fans' choice of the guy that they wanted to win the home run record, which was previously held by Babe Ruth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Roger Maris didn't start with the Yankees. He wasn't a career Yankee, but he had a career year.
Right.
You know, his number is retired in Yankee Stadium, and rightfully so. You know, he had some great seasons, but it's kind of a sad story in the sense that Major League Baseball, when this man was alive, never recognized him as the true home run king for a single season. And that is wrong on so many levels.
And no disrespect to Babe Ruth. You heard about Babe Ruth. And they didn't really start giving Maris his due until McGwire and Sosa started doing their thing. Up until that point, you knew about Maris, but they never really said Roger Maris, 61.
I think the most tragic thing of the story is that it was all posthumous. Like, he passed away. And, you know, it's kind of like a never-ending insult to his family, because then you fast forward to what you mentioned about Sosa, McGwire, these other guys. That particular year, Big Mac breaking the record, then Sosa also exceeding the record, but while finishing second in home runs that particular year. Balco investigation. Both these guys are tagged for, you know, the steroids, and it taints out the record. So now, if you're the Maris kids and you're over here rejoicing with Mark McGwire, you got to feel some kind of way, because your father's legacy is getting fucked with yet again.
Yeah.
And now comes along Aaron Judge, a guy who is revered by baseball fans all over, not just Yankee fans, doing things the right way.
Yep.
And I think it's pretty awesome that the Maris family has basically co-signed that they want Aaron Judge to break this record.
Yeah.
And I do think that it speaks a lot on them wanting to keep it home, but also acknowledging that maybe they're a little tired of their father having that record because of maybe the disrespect that he received. I think there's a lot of ways to look at it.
Yeah. I'm glad the Yankees retired his number anyway.
I am.
Yeah, because he that's something he did deserve. He's a Yankee home run hitting record. You know, Babe Ruth was had it first. And even I think Judge will break it. And with me, I see the record. If Judge breaks it, great. I'm really happy.
Yeah, for sure.
But I want to see him break it in the amount of games that Roger Maris broke it in. Because I have a problem with records being broken with more games, for someone to do it. What happened? Home run.
IKF just hit his second of the year.
Hell yeah. That's my thing. I want him to break it in the same amount of games or less than Maris did. I think Maris did in 154 games, I think it was, or something like that. I can't remember.
The thing was that sucked was that they wanted to discredit the record because Ruth did it in less games, but can we at least factor in that there were more teams in baseball?
Right.
Can you make the argument that travel does take a toll? Because, I mean, that goes without saying. It.
Yeah.
Like, even with Hank Aaron, they tried in the beginning to do their due diligence of, diluting what he did.
Yeah.
And let me tell you, you'll never find a bigger Hank Aaron fan than John Olsen. Brewer fan, but also with the Milwaukee ties to the Braves. That Hank Aaron is John's favorite.
I mean, I'll accept Judge breaking it. I mean, I want him to break the record.
No, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I think as Yankee fans, we know what it means.
Yeah, and also nothing against Bonds. I still think Bonds deserves to be in the Hall of Fame just based on what he did. But as a Pittsburgh Pirate, the guy was awesome.
I also tend to believe that Major League Baseball turned a blind eye to all this shit.
Yeah.
So it's like you're punishing them, but the institution continues. Like, you can't have it both ways.
Right.
Put these guys in with their transgressions has always been my thing.
Yeah,
And, you know, because you talk about transgressions, you know, 42, the Jackie Robinson movie.
And
you
like
look at
Joe Jackson, man. Let him in. Quit playing. Let him in.
And you take into consideration how long it took Major League Baseball to recognize the great players from the Negro Leagues.
Yeah.
Which is an atrocity. Because they didn't have the opportunity to play with everyone else.
No.
But to ignore the greatness of a lot of these dudes for that many years, but they're on the witch hunt for guys that were juicing. It's like, what's the priority?
It's like how I feel about Larry Doby. People forget about him.
The second player to break in that was African American.
And what's the guy that really started free agency? Oh shoot, I can't think of his name. I got his face in my head. I can't remember his name, but there's a lot of guys that you make a. I can't remember who thought about the idea of make a wing in the Hall of Fame, the steroid era, or just put an asterisk. This happened in the steroid. Just to note it, like, hey, this happened this time. Da 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 da. Because in my opinion, I've never accepted McGuire and Sosa's numbers. I mean, I just never accepted them.
Nor have I, because I have a bigger heart on, and I've mentioned this on previous shows for McGuire, because of the sheer fact that he played first base for many years with the Oakland A's. Mm-hmm. And who was the other great first baseman in the AL that used to fall second or maybe third fiddle to him? That would be Don Mattingly.
Don Mattingly, yep.
So when you think about resumes, would a few more All-Star appearances have beefed up Mattingly's resume to maybe get into the Hall? Right. This is a guy that never took the shortcuts.
Right.
Yeah, that's bothersome.
Yeah.
And that's also shame on MLB.
Yeah.
Because you're not letting Mattingly in, who did everything the right way,
right,
but had injuries towards that might have affected some of those power numbers.
Right.
You're not letting so-and-so in because of the juice. But when that dude was on the juice, he was holding Mattingly back from maybe getting, you go so many ways with the hypocrisy.
Exactly.
So many ways.
Exactly.
But yeah, 42 and 61, if I'm going to be honest about these three, they stand out to me. And honestly, as far as the other three goes, I like them all for different reasons. I like Bull Durham because it kind of captures, like, I think a real love of the game from the minor league level.
Yeah.
And how much these teams mean to their cities.
Mm-hmm.
I also kind of, appreciate that movie because my grandfather kicked around in the minors for a lot of years.
Mm-hmm.
Might not be able to see it all that well, but that's actually Gramps on the third tier of these pictures going up.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like on the corner above DiMaggio and Mansell over there.
Oh.
That's actually my grandfather when he was playing with his Army squad.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But,
how did I not see that one when I came down and saw you? Man, I must have missed that one.
Yeah, maybe so. But, I got an affection for the minor league journey because those guys really do play for the love.
Yeah. You have to. They go through a grind.
Yeah.
They don't get the first class flights and all this other stuff.
But it really, I think, encapsulates like the dream of making it to the bigs. And I think that's something that's really cool. And, another Costner flick for the love of the game. Kind of a newer one when compared to some of these others.
Yeah.
And if not newer, just maybe not as impactful. But I do believe he's just a victim of his own success at that point.
Yeah.
Kevin Costner. But it's an excellent movie.
It's a good movie.
And Major League, kind of a first of its own. I mean, they tried something similar with Bad News Bears, but that involved, teenagers and whatnot. Yeah. But Major League is it's hilarious on so many levels.
Funny as hell. A
movie that would be canceled now, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Because they touch.
Big time.
Yeah. There's no way that movie would have got canceled today. Let's just be real.
Big time. A couple other movies you could have added. Don't laugh at me, but The Sandlot and Mr.
No, I love The Sandlot. Sandlot's iconic, bro.
If you would have put The Sandlot on that list, that'd have been my number one movie.
Dude, The Sandlot's iconic. I mean, shit, my mother took me to that when I was like a little kid.
That movie is hilarious.
Rookie of the Year, kind of in its own way, has its place.
Yeah, it's a lot of good ones, man. It's
a lot of good baseball movies.
Yeah, and it's like they're all really true to the game. With some, and like the Major League was more,
Hardball was a good one with Keanu.
Hardball. I forgot about that. Golly.
G baby.
Yeah, we need to do another show with.
I want to do one like knockout round, and I think that's the kind of show where it's almost like we gotta prepare. Like on some group text, be like, "Yo, we're gonna plan this out like 3-4 weeks ahead."
Yeah,
we knockout rounds.
We got to do that
because friend of the show, my new friend actually, Jovan, he had made mention that he wants to do an NBA show because my cousin Gio, well, he married my cousin Eunice. He's a big Jordan fan. Jovan, not so much. Jordan tends to defend LeBron.
LeBronian.
But the point is, we have a lot of great convos. And me and Jovan, believe it or not, agree on a lot of these because of the fact that sometimes Jordan fans, I sometimes think, forget that Isaiah Thomas and Larry Bird smacked him around quite a bit.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't care for the way Jordan fans almost act like his career only spanned 6 to 8 years.
Yeah.
And, it's like, well, we're not going to talk about when he got knocked out in the first round multiple times. And we're not going to talk about when he was a Washington Wizard. We're just going to conveniently talk about his 2 3-peats and him coming back a little rusty with number 45.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more to Jordan's career than that because,
it's a lot.
I'll save it for the show.
Yeah.
Idris, anything you want to speak on before we get out of here? Kind of made some good time on this one.
Damn, time flies when you're having fun, man.
Yeah, we're having a good time here. We're chilling.
No, I think for the future, we come up with some stuff we need to talk about, like do the knockout round with the baseball movies or sports movies in general, But let's do the baseball first because it's coming down to, playoff time, World Series time, and then we'll get to knock out the sports movies in general. See, boom, 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 boom. As for baseball, watch out for the Cardinals. Since
you
the trade,
did say that too. That's another one that you honed in on.
Yeah, Milwaukee just checked out. They're gone. I think they're like 10 games back, maybe 8 games back. They just checked out. Watch out for the Braves. They're coming. The Mets gotta right the ship. Of course, our Yankees, they gotta get back to what they used to do before the All-Star break. Houston is Houston. They're gonna be tough regardless. The Dodgers, they're starting to show a few kinks in their armor as well. Because they started off just explosive, and then
it's hard to keep up that intensity when you're kind of in the driver's seat for such a long time. But it's a dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to read this before we get out of here. It's a bit of an excerpt or a bit of an essay that I put on my personal Facebook page because I was livid. And I don't even know if livid was the right word. I think a better way to put it is just over it. I'm going to speak on a final thought about the New York Yankees. And yes, we are winning today. And yes, I am happy that we're winning today. All right, bear with me. I'm going to run this quickly. The 2017 New York Yankees, a.k.a. the Baby Bombers, were 1 win shy of a World Series berth. This was about 2 nights ago. But they moved on from manager Joe Girardi that year at season's end. The 17 team also didn't have a Garrett Cole, nor did they have a Giancarlo Stanton. On paper, more talent has been on more Yankee teams from the years 2018 to the current, which is 2022. Yet the Yankees have not come as close to the World Series since then. No Yankees fan should assume nor accept that Aaron Boone shouldn't or won't get fired. Nor should any Yankees fan assume that our captain, our MVP, Aaron Judge, will be a Yankee past this year. When I watch these games, I see a guy who wants to win and has a different kind of passion for the game, that being Aaron Judge. I see a leader in the clubhouse in the form of Garrett Cole that, regardless of how he pitches, assumes a lead role for the rest of his pitching mates and is quick to jump out of the dugout to protect his players, similar to CeCe. Mm-hmm. Past that, I see a team that is dead and collecting checks, and I want to specify who I'm speaking on. Josh Donaldson today, admiring a fly ball when he should have been running. The ball didn't leave the yard. He gets gunned down at second. Judge scores. It might not cost us today's game, but when you are playing really bad baseball and every win counts and you're just trying to find momentum anywhere, that is the last shit that any Yankee fan or the manager should want to see. That's the kind of shit that would get you benched if you got Billy Martin or Lou Piniella managing the team. Just wanted to say that. So, yeah, I'm going to just hone in on one particular player. That's going to be Josh Donaldson. I also did say this in my little bit of fit of frustration. Sadly, I think Aaron Boone comes back, as does Brian Cashman, the GM. I'm not saying it's all on the manager and the GM, but past the players, they are responsible for putting this roster together as well as managing it. The Yankees previously have moved on from 2 managers who won a combined 5 World Series, Joe Torre, Joe Girardi. Why Boone is safe is beyond me. The definition of insanity is doing things the same way and expecting different results. The Yankees brass has become a little too comfortable with just being okay. The home run or die philosophy isn't conducive to winning it all, and no matter how good the pitching staff is, and yes, even given some of our tired arms have been very good this year, setting up a roster with guys who are all boom or bust home run hitters is not going to get it done. This team could very well be average at best, and maybe they just peaked a little too early. More importantly, I question if they have quit on their manager and have no guts past the select few on this team. Bringing Boone and Cashman back should show any and every Yankee fan that the commitment to winning isn't what we've become accustomed to. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm talking about if we bottom out in the playoffs or if we lose this division. I'm not saying fire them today. I just want to make that clear. I understand that not every deadline deal will work and not every break will go the team's way, but this monumental collapse is deeper than that. Another thing that should be acknowledged is this team needs Judge more than Judge needs this team. Championship teams have the it factor. This shit ain't it. This team needs to dig deep and figure it out because time isn't on their side.
Amen.
All I want to say about them is, for me to be that disgusted means that I do believe that they are a lot better. So I want to make that clear. I'm not one of those knee-jerk guys that, oh, we lost, fire this guy, fire that guy. But when you have such an altered season from being the best team in baseball for most of the first half to being the worst team in baseball since the first half began, you got to point at the people in charge. Yes, the players first because they play the games. But after them, you got to start looking at the leaders.
You know what? Yeah, I know we got to close up.
No, we got time.
Oh, you know what? We're just a good team. That's it. That's all we are. We're just a good team. And New York Yankees, we are not. So we're supposed to be better than just being a good team.
Damn right.
For the Yankees. The only thing, and I don't want to use this analogy, but I'm going to. Cashman is reminding me of Jerry Jones. Let me put a good product out there, but I'm just going to put enough out there for us to. And I know Cashman's not the owner,
right?
But still, you signed.
I'll be honest. Hal has become way too comfortable, in my opinion.
Way too comfortable.
Like
2 years ago, if you just said what you said, I'd be like, man, nah, you full of shit.
Yeah, you wilding out, Rich. You're getting too mad.
I co-signed this, and I never thought I would feel this way about Boone and Cashman and even Hank. And I used to hear people in the Yankee group saying, well, Hank
recently passed. He was the one that, from a personality, I know what you meant.
Yeah,
you meant
Hal.
From a personality standpoint, I feel that Hank had a little more of the father's fire. And I'm not saying George was always right, but George would never let any Yankee fan think for a second that he didn't care.
After George came back from being basically kicked out of the league and George Mike came in, he started saying, okay, I got to let these guys do the job. Mm-hmm. If they can't do the job, then I'm going to say something. He changed his whole mentality. And this is what Hal needs to say, look, this is not Yankee baseball. Yankee baseball, if you don't want to do your job, you got to go.
It essentially is that simple on a lot of levels. Like I said, I make the Josh Donaldson reference. Reggie Jackson got pulled for pulling some similar shit, and Josh Donaldson couldn't be Reggie Jackson on his best day.
That's why we let Robinson Cano go.
Indeed, that was part of the motivation. And, there was a lot of money that he took that the Yankees just weren't going to pay.
No.
Ricky Henderson, one of the greatest baseball players of all time, had moments as a Yankee where he played the lazy game.
Right. You can't play that in New York.
No.
The Bronx. No.
No, it's a gritty city, and they're not going to go for that shit. And I extend that even to our rivals in Queens, because one thing I'll say about our rivals fans, they will call you out for that shit too.
New York is New York.
New York is, yeah.
New York is New York.
Met fans will call you out just as quick if they see guys not hustling.
Yeah, New York
The
is
shit
New York.
that happened today, unacceptable. And even if we win this game, which I believe we will, bottom line is, it was unacceptable. And
you don't look at
it's like, bro, if you're going to admire that shit, it better be out of the ballpark.
Right.
Like when Big G hits one and it ends up like over the Grand Concourse, that's a different conversation.
Right. Run the bases, run to the wall. That's it. You run the bases, you run to the wall. You do both. Period. You don't marvel nothing.
Yeah. Not cool. I mean, and I understand it's a different age, and having fun in this game is also very important, because I always allude back to that old episode that we had with when I was still a member of the Jordan Patrick show with Elliot and Jordan. We were talking about the unwritten rules thing, and Tatis hitting a slam because somebody had the audacity to throw one right down the middle with a 3-0 count.
Right.
I am a little soft-stanced on the whole unwritten rules thing. But my thing is hustle is hustle.
Yeah.
And giving a shit is giving a shit, and that's never going to go out of style.
I want to see Pete Rose out there. I want to see you run.
Yeah, you don't get a nickname like Charlie Hustle if you're not that dude.
Pete Rose coming he's like a runaway train heading straight for a daycare center. Y'all forgive me for that reference, but I'm just saying.
I get it.
No stopping Pete Rose.
I get what you're saying though. Like that dude ran through walls to win baseball games.
He could be up 13-0 or down 13-0. He's coming.
I get it, bro. I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Show,
NFL season's coming up. We got a lot more baseball that we're going to be talking about in the near future. We're going to be hitting on a lot of baseball movies. And like I said, we still have that elusive boxing show that we just want to get the time to do.
Yeah.
Because one thing that we're never going to do is just half-ass it just to get a show out. That we won't do.
It's just too much football, too much baseball right now.
Yeah, a lot going on, man. But
it's too much.
As always, had a great time doing this show today.
Oh, yeah.
For Idris, I am Richie. Thank you so much for watching, guys. And have a great rest of your Labor Day. Back to work tomorrow.
Whew.
Peace.